In a world that moves fast, it's important to have people who know how to communicate the company message. Stay tuned for this one, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Your Little Castle Show. My buddy Asheed Dion is in the building, and we go back a little bit, aware of each other through the Cardinals. I mean, if you're a Cardinal fan in St. Louis, then you'll end up. He's got his shirt on there. We leave that over there. See that cool shirt he's got there, everybody. When you are a Cardinal fan, you meet lots of people. We have a mutual friend, Sam.
Yep.
Sam was on our show, Sumati, and he's my sports expert. And so when I need somebody to talk about Cardinals lineups, up and down averages, WAR, all that stuff.
Sam's your guy.
WAR. We're not talking about WAR. What is it good for? We're talking about wins above replacements. So now we're getting real technical.
Yep.
But you get to meet a business. I say if you're going to be a business owner in St. Louis, you should probably endear the Cardinals. I know sometimes their record is not at what we all would like.
Yeah.
Their attendance is down a bit. But you still meet, I mean, go to any place in St. Louis where you got 15, 20, 30, 50,000 people that you can hang out. So we were hanging out afterwards at Patios.
Yes, we were.
That's right. And just enjoying myself another Dr. Pepper. That's my beverage of choice. And talking about life. And I realized you are helping take over the region here. You're running it in general, but now specifically for DMW Design and Solutions.
That is correct.
Tell me about that and what led you here.
So I came from the auto industry. I've been in the auto industry for almost 2 decades, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. At the end of the day, I'm a people person. That's really all it is. I'm in the people business. So yeah,
that's a good business to be in.
Exactly. That's really what.
Because that's the ones who buy things.
And that's really what it's about. I think especially after the pandemic, I think a lot of us realized how much we were leaving communication to the wayside. We got so used to being around each other so much that having the pandemic, I think, kind of helped us realize how much we miss socializing and being out and being in public and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I was in the auto industry for many years, and a buddy of mine, he was in the roofing and construction company, and he was with one of the larger companies in St. Louis. I've been in the auto industry for a while, and I've been doing it for so long. The auto industry ain't really what it used to be. Cars, everybody has the electric cars, and most cars are, white, black, gray, and it's just, there's no feeling behind it anymore. So it just wasn't for me anymore. So I was already planning on possibly making a change. A buddy of mine wound up leaving that company. The company he decided to go to was a company that actually do a lot of subcontract work for that company, and they needed somebody to help kind of man that sales department. And he thought about me, and he was like, "Man, Asheed, you'd be perfect, dude. You're a people person. You're bubbly. You know how to communicate." And
key.
And I was like, "Man, you know what?" I was like, sometimes things just happen at the right time, and it seemed like everything was just falling in place. And I said yes. And then after that, probably within about 2 or 3 weeks, that's when that first storm unfortunately hit.
Yeah, that was big here in the St. Louis area. There was 2 big tornadoes that came through within about 3 weeks of each other.
Pretty much.
A few weeks anyway. I remember for the first one, I'm down in spring training for the Cardinals doing my thing, and I'm calling back to my mom. I'm like, "Mom, you need to get downstairs. This storm is coming." And I go, "Grab your cell phone," because the landlines, she still uses a landline, right? Yeah. I said, "They may not be working within a few hours." Here. So she ran back upstairs, got her cell phone, and we were checking on her. But that storm was devastating to the region. That's the first time I saw some chart that showed level 3 or 4 storms in St. Louis. There's been like 7 in the last 100 years.
Yep.
And there was 2 of them within whatever it was, 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it was.
Yeah.
You're helping families recover from that now.
That's exactly what we're doing. And it was unfortunate with me making that industry change. It was almost like it helped the transition, because I didn't really have enough time to kind of figure out what, feet hit the ground running. Yeah. It was like, even when I walked outside after that day of the storm, my entire community, people were literally running up like, "Hey, can you help me out? I don't know what to do." there was a lot of, just panic. Nobody really knew what to do. Everybody was outside walking around just looking at all the devastation and everything. So pretty much our whole team, we got our brains together, and we pretty much went and hit the street. So we tried to spread out in as many areas as possible in St. Louis and make sure we can cover as much ground and help as many families out as we could. And it was pretty much all hands on deck. And it wasn't just our company; all the roofing and contractor companies out there. And it was a beautiful thing to see everybody getting all their resources together and just helping out. And at the end of the day, like I say, when these 2 storms hit, we saw a lot of that. And it was really good to feel that it wasn't always about just the dollars, and it was really people out there, everybody just getting together and helping everybody out, the community. So.
Yeah, it was a big traumatic event for a lot of people. We talked to a number of guys who've been guests on the show, and they were talking about one of the most valuable things people had was battery chargers. Yeah. Because the power was down for everybody.
Generators.
So, giving people just that access to charge, because we all depend on electricity now. Yep. Shout out to our electrical experts. We've had a few on the show here. But literally, there was such dependence there, and just the houses, buildings, brick walls I saw were just knocked over.
Yeah.
So that means it was a pretty intense little storm. But a lot we did there. Well, with that, we'll give a shout out to those who do continue to support our community. Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. We all live in our own little.
Shout out to Brooke.
And you worked for Carroll House.
I did work for Carroll House for a little bit.
For a while,
awesome place. I learned so much from Brooke, and awesome guy. That was an awesome little part of my life. So.
Yeah, well, talk about a professional who runs a great organization, great company right here, and does so much for the community as well. Somebody we are really proud to have a sponsor. Going into our 4th year now, almost 4.5 years into this now, coming up on 5. We launched November 2021. First show aired in February 2022. Okay. Is that right? 22, 23, 24. Yeah, now we're 25. So it's gotten to be crazy. So we appreciate the sponsorship and support there. But with that also, we have a new awesome sponsor. And if you're interested in protecting your long-term investments, My Metal Pro, go to Gold Cowboy. We've got a new segment now where we're talking a little bit about it. Gold Cowboy. If you're in the big leagues, your company's in the big leagues, we're going to do a segment about you. Go to bigleagues.com, BIGG leagues.com. Go to Gold Cowboy and see what our sponsors are doing there for us, because it's turned into a really cool opportunity for businesses. People, I just don't have a 401k anymore, right? Because I have my own company now. You can do a SEP and a few other things. Mm-hmm. But if you just start putting money away into gold, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Gold was really taken off.
It really has.
It's been that way for a long time, actually. But I'm just buying $150 every month, $150. And I noticed when I did that with my 401k, then 7 years later, I had $50,000. I'm like, wow. Everybody should be doing something like that. One of the easiest ways is with My Metal Pro. Check that out. Let me put that button. There it is. Big Leagues. There it is. I'm hitting all my buttons here. Big Leagues, BIGG leagues.com. Find out more information about all the fun stuff we got there. Go to goldcowboy.com, and all the information there is tied together.
Not silver, but gold.
Yeah. And both of them actually have done
They
well.
actually both have been doing good, actually, right.
Silver and gold.
You got a choice there.
Silver and gold. Yeah, what cartoons that we were well known. We were kids. But with that, we put up on the wall here, let's talk about it. Literally, you got to get that house in order, because that's where you're going to live, and that's where you're going to prosper. Have the family. Some of my buddies up there on the wall. I'm showing
my guy Curtis.
There's Curtis. He's in the corner there. I'll put that wide shot. There he is. Curtis and I go way back. St. Louis, small community. You better be nice to everybody, because you're going to be connected to everybody.
It's a big, small city, is what I always like to tell people.
It is. It's the biggest small city, or it was the biggest town. It was a city in the country, and so everybody gets to know everybody there, and it tied into the Cardinals. So, give us a little bit more of your background. You actually have been in the family services, if you will, helping families with automotive, furniture, housing. How long have you been doing this kind of work?
So I went to, the St. Louis question. What high school did you go to? So I actually had the luxury. I call it a luxury. I actually went to 3 different high schools. So I went to Lafayette for a couple months. Okay. I went to Parkway North, and then I graduated from Howe Central. And really? I went to a community college in Poplar Bluff, and then I transferred and finished at Lindenwood. Okay. When I finished at Lindenwood, I finished in exercise science and kinesiology. And I started off as an athletic trainer, but a lot of us that went into that degree had no idea what it was until we kind of got halfway through. We were like, yeah, this ain't what we thought it was. So actually that year, Lindenwood, they were awesome. Everybody, probably about 60-70% that was in that program, they actually made the first exercise science kinesiology degree that year, all for us, because it was so many people that were in a program they didn't really know much about. So, but my family, we actually owned a fitness and cheerleading gym at the time.
Okay.
And they had moved the gym to Texas, and after I finished school, I moved to Texas to help out with the gym. So I did my fitness thing there. I also did some coaching as well too. But long story short, I started in the auto industry in Texas. I was working for a Honda dealership, and it was a pretty tight ship that was ran there. The owner was a former Marine.
Right.
And trust me, I learned really quick to say former and not ex. Trust me. Yeah, you're Marine.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Exactly.
Kind of,
yeah. So, but they always told me once I moved back to St. Louis, because my wife and I, she moved to Texas with me. We found out we were expecting, wound up moving back to St. Louis. Her family's very tight knit, so there was no way Grandma was gonna let us have our babies in Texas. So
okay.
So I was happy to move back home and be back with family. And when I came back, I decided to stay in the auto industry because I really enjoyed it. And I've worked for a few different auto dealerships. The last one I worked at was my favorite, and I met actually one of my mentors. I like to call him a mentor, a couple of them.
Okay.
His name is Kurt Mungenast.
Mungenast, yeah.
Awesome guy. I've learned so much from him, close and afar. And but I just want him to know how much I appreciated everything he did and how he ran his organization. And it taught me that it's really about the top and working your way down. And he always taught me that it's really about just service to others. And I just lived my life that way. And I had the luxury of working in so many different industries where I work with families, and I also help them provide the things that meant the most to them, which was their home, their auto, furniture. I even worked for a company. I even worked for a pet company. I worked for a company called Happy Tails. It was on Lindbergh. It was actually the first leash-free environment for dogs in daycare, and that's where I met my wife. And that was an awesome place too. So pretty much anything under your home that you find value and you love, I had a hand in it at one point in St. Louis. So
everything that comes back to the family and all those things that are connected. So that led to where you're at now.
Absolutely.
And being in the housing construction industry, you get to serve that same space because everybody's got to have a place to live.
Absolutely.
It's the most valuable asset anybody normally owns, and it's where people put all their time and money and resources. So
absolutely,
you've enjoyed your transition there, and now you've been there for about a
year.
Been
about a year now, and I love it. I'm pretty much able to. One of the things we were talking a little bit before we got on camera. We were talking a little bit about how I've been able to kind of take bits and pieces from other industries I've worked in, and I've noticed how it works in other industries, and it gels so perfectly. But I'm able to take some of these things I've learned and skills from the other industries and help families. One of the things I've noticed with the commercial side of construction and things like that, because we do commercial and residential, is that there's a lot of things as far as the financing side that a lot of homeowners have no idea about. And actually, if you really think about it, they know. It's just they don't think about it. And that's one of the things when I was in the auto industry, I was also in finance as well too for a while. So I got a lot of relationships with a lot of banks and insurance companies. So I pretty much learned how both of those industries work, which I was highly surprised when I came over to the construction side of how little a lot of construction companies and also homeowners don't utilize financing. So that's been one of the things I've tried to bring from my financial side with the auto industry to the construction industry to try to help homeowners out whenever they might not be able to have any assistance from insurance, or if they just may not be able to do it out of pocket retail wise.
Yeah, I say that's a lot of times it's the money. It's all about what's going to cost, and if you want to have a house to be repaired, fixed, updated, because it increases in value, right? This isn't something like
it's an asset.
It's an asset. So many things devalue because of over time, but a house, you want to get that thing fixed, and you want it to be really nice too.
Yes.
If you can spend a few extra bucks, get a few extra dollars in financing, it'll add to the value of the house even more so that you have an asset later that turns into something people retire off of their homes.
Absolutely, and it's like I said, it's a resource that we know we have, but it's a lot of these other things that we just don't think about. So I'm just trying to make sure that whenever we get into a situation with a homeowner, especially with the recent disasters we had, the natural disasters we've had recently, I just want to make sure all homeowners are most importantly educated on all the options they have, and just being able to bring that experience that I have from other industries and just be able to help as much as I can in the current industry I'm working in.
Well, that's key to it. And with that, we'll get into some community stuff we've done recently. I got invited to the Browns annual luncheon. This is the 41st, not the 51st, but the 41st year. I've got my Cardinals in
Bling
Blues
bling.
and Chiefs event they have down there at the Missouri Athletic Club. Ed Wheatley. Ed was in the building, and he runs this whole thing and set it up. But they had a well-known grandson of one of the best-known baseball players in the history of baseball.
The Babe.
Babe Ruth. His grandson was in the building talking with us, and so that was really cool. And I got to have a private moment with him. So we're going to play a little bit of that fun and then share with you some more of the stuff we do in the community, and we'll be back here in just a minute. Stay tuned.
Hello, everybody. Carter Rethwish, Tom Stevens, Babe Ruth's grandson, came here to the Browns' 41st dinner for the St. Louis Browns Association. Tell me then, if you don't mind, Tom, I'm going to put my clip on you here. What does it mean? What does Babe's legacy for baseball mean to you?
Wow, it's everything to me, really. As I mentioned in my remarks, there's never been a time that Babe was not a part of my life in some form. And now that I'm retired, I benefited so much throughout my life through my relationship with him, the experiences that we've had, that now I kind of want to pay it back and just try and spread the gospel of Babe Ruth wherever I go.
Well, we have it right here. If you want to find out more information, Babe Ruth Central, that's the website that's dedicated to Babe and shares his legacy.
It is.
Awesome. John Goodman portrayed Babe in a great movie that we saw that literally, I like what they talked about in Babe's history, helping kids and his great support for a lot of kids.
Yes.
Is that a big part of his memory for you?
Oh, yes, very much so. Yeah, the humanity, and that's one of the things that I really like to emphasize is the humanitarian side of Babe's activities and what he did. Because it's, you can't really go to a website or read about this stuff,
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming to this event. Ed was on our show recently. How you doing, Ed? There he is. We're going to have Ed back on again soon, everybody. Thanks. It's your old Castle Show.
His name is Carter Rethwish, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwish was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up.
Hey
everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up!
Well, there we have it, everybody. A little bit about the community, a little bit about what we do to help businesses, or I'm sorry, homeowners to invest in their future. But get yourself some gold. This gold report is available here. Curtis is my buddy. He's the #1 distributor in the country, in the company. They're in, I think, 37 countries now. And but gold is a hot commodity, been in use for 5,000 years. And look at the value of gold as it goes up historically. But very cool. Let's jump in here and talk a little bit about some of what people have had to say about you guys, because you guys have been around now for 30 years.
Little over 30 years, yeah.
30 years. And there's some reviews we've seen with you guys too. So I'm just going to pick one or two of these out here. I'm randomly selecting them. Now they're all 5, so we know we've got a good opportunity to get something well said about you guys. But here, I'm going to put this up for everybody. And so you can read that. There we go. We were adjusting our buttons. 5 stars. Jason and Mike did such a fantastic job with siding on our house. My husband and I were truly impressed with their excellent skills, workmanship, dependability, quick response, and cost. We are definitely going to use them for our other needs on our home. We did not realize all the things they can do for our house. What do you think about that? That's got to make you feel kind of cool.
That's one of the things that's our huge thing. We're doing the work that a lot of other contractors either don't want to do or they can't do for whatever reason because they don't have the resources. That's our #1 goal. And it's funny how many times I hear that. What? You guys do that too? What? You do that too? You do that too? We're a one-stop shop. We're a one-stop shop.
And that makes it a lot easier, much more cost-effective for people too, because when you're bouncing around and trying to figure out who's going to do this, and then things get confusing.
You got to go get an estimate for this, estimate for that. We understand families' lives are busy nowadays, so we want to take as much off their plate as we can. And then the last thing you want to do is have a whole bunch of different people coming in and out of your house and all this and type of stuff. So whenever you need something, it's not just roofing, siding, and gutters that we do. We can build complete homes, constructions, but we do the little stuff too. A lot of times, our best clients start off with the little repairs that a lot of the other companies don't want to do, like I said, or can't do, or just don't have the resources. But at the end of the day, that's what turns into one of our lifelong customers, because they understand they ever need a big thing, small thing. Hey, we're gonna call DMW. We're gonna call Curtis. We're gonna call Dion. Like, we'll get somebody here, and we don't have to worry about it. And they know where we are, and they know who we are, and they know what we do.
Peace of mind. That's what people are looking for. I also want to mention BBB. There it is. A+, everybody. That's important because you have to be vetted by the BBB. You can see that there. I'll scroll. That's where the BBB rating is at, but here you guys are listed. So it's nice to see that you guys are involved with the companies that also vet those who say, hey, who's doing a good job, who's doing the job correctly here in our community. So with that, let's talk a little bit about a cost. I call this a cost analysis. And that is, the average homeowner doesn't know much about what they're looking at when it comes to, what am I getting repaired? Why should I do this? Should I make a claim?
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about that. And when people say, oh, no, I don't want to make a claim. Well, the value of their house, there's been some damage. It's not getting fixed.
Right.
And then they're going to have somebody come back later and say, oh, that's outside of the scope. Now you've waited too long, and now they've devalued their house. Why should somebody make sure they address these issues?
Well, a little bit like we were talking about earlier, Cowboy. It's like your home is an investment. It's an asset, right? So you want to protect your asset, and you want to always make sure your asset is always giving back what you've put into it. So whenever you have any type of damage, especially like the recent storms we've had, it's very important that obviously you find a company and a contractor that you can trust. Others have used that you have some type of information on. Our big thing is we actually don't even do a ton of advertising. Most of our business is referral. If we have one of the recent storms we just had, I was on a roof and Next thing I know, the neighbor came out, was like, hey, you guys mind taking a look at our roof?
Right.
And then he was like, hey, my mom lives around the corner. When we're finished, do you mind if we go around there and look at her roof? And then once we were done with that one, the neighbor came out after that one. And then the only time we actually do, in our industry, we call it door knocking. The only time we do that is if we're already doing work in the neighborhood. And then while we're there, we'll walk around and see if anybody else needs assistance. If they happen to need assistance, we'll be like, hey, this is what we can offer. This is what we can do for you. If you want to look at our work, your neighbor's getting their roof done right down the road, or they're getting the deck put on or something like that. They can actually go see what we do in action. But as far as the cost analysis goes, again, it's an asset. So you want to make sure it's done right. At the end of the day, if you want to, reap the benefits, from the fruits of your labor in the future with your home, you want to make sure that, like you said, your value stays high. How do you keep the value high? You make sure you have good quality materials. You make sure you have good quality craftsmanship from a company that knows what they're doing. As far as insurance claims goes, that's been the biggest thing that we've been dealing with lately. And one of the things we've noticed is a lot of people, especially nowadays, especially with these storms, these are things we haven't seen in 70, 80, 100 years.
Right, yeah, that's been crazy.
Yeah, not just homeowners, but the contractors, the insurance companies. This is kind of uncharted territories for all of us. So it's a learning experience for all of us. So one of the things we do is we actually have a great referral partner, which is Country Financial. And we've been working with them recently within the last couple months because we kind of piggyback off each other. They'll let us know some of the things they're encountering. We'll let them know some of the things we're encountering, and we work together to make sure we can find the best solution for the homeowners. There are some great insurance companies out there, but at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to build some type of partnership to where we can take care of the community, but it makes sense because we're working off of each other. It's just not the contractors against the insurance companies and insurance. We actually work together for the homeowner, and I think that's kind of getting missed in this industry. But at the end of the day, as far as the cost analysis goes, it's all about making sure that we're educating the homeowner on what they're looking at and what's to be expected from the insurance company, and vice versa. As a contractor, our job is to pretty much take care of anything that the insurance company prescribes. Our other job is to make sure that the insurance company isn't missing anything.
Right, yeah.
For the homeowner, right?
How often is you could think, and that's happened with myself. Hey, that post, if you see my house, that post is going to be covered. It had some tar on it, so it didn't even really need to be replaced. The tar could be wiped off, but they didn't really analyze my garage doors, and the garage doors were actually bent, and so they ended up not in the quote, and then it didn't get covered, and I wasn't paying attention. My contractor at the time was a friend who was a buddy of somebody that knew somebody, and wow, that cost me $4,000. But because you want to stay on the ball to make sure people are getting things covered.
Well, a lot of times, again, like I was saying earlier, a lot of times most construction companies or roofing companies, they pretty much only do 2 or 3 things. They either do just roofs or either they do roof siding and gutters. It's not often that you have a company like us that we literally can build your house from the bottom up.
Right.
So when we come in, all our inspections are complimentary. There's no cost. We do not just the roof, the siding, and gutter. We do a full home inspection, the exterior. And once we're finished with your inspection, we send you a small PDF file. It's super small, it'll take a lot of space, but it'll have all the photos of all the information that we've documented with your inspection. To make it easy for if you have an insurance claim process, you can forward those pictures to your insurance company. They can look at everything that we've seen. At that point, you get an adjuster meeting set up. You call us back, be like, hey, Dion, Curtis, your adjuster meeting's on this date. We get there. We're there with the adjuster. We're walking them through everything that we saw. So
we're going to finish up right here. Stay tuned for more, everybody. We're going to be back.